Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, give me a minute to see if I can fix this. How about now? All right, thank you. Adam, it's good to hear your voice, young man. And yeah, we have been trading the E-mini since its inception, but we've been trading in the Globex since its inception as well. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Globex or the after hours market. Now, I'm not talking about the after hours market that is where you can buy and sell equities that trades till roughly 7 o'clock at night after the U.S. markets close. I'm talking about the Globex where you can literally today trade just about any financial future you can think of. So while we're on that subject, let me ask you, how many of you are familiar with either the Globex or the after hours market where the futures trade? This market opens at 5 o'clock in the evening and trades throughout the day and closes at 4:15 the next day. All right, so far it looks like about half and half. Well, for those of you who are not familiar with this market, it is relatively a young market as markets go. It's only been around since the early 90s, and I have been involved with that market from day one. And I go back to the days when there wasn't anyone to help us navigate or learn these markets or understand how they work. There wasn't someone there to tell us what to do or not to do. We had to find our way, and believe me, we paid our tuition. It was a very small community back then, and you had to have a specialized computer. You couldn't trade it like it is today, where you have open access and just literally anyone with a computer now can trade this market. But it was a very small community then, and it's still a very small community. I would venture to say that very few people, even professionals, ask your stockbroker or your investment advisor next time you're with them, you know, what they know about the after hours or Globex market, and they'll tell you, I know the market exists and I know their markets trade, but they really don't understand the mechanics of that market. And so what we're going to do tonight, and tonight is a great time for us to visit with you actually, because last night is when all that you saw today actually started. In fact, if you watch CNBC today, the program they call Fast Money, they were talking about one of the traders on that program was talking about how he happened to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning to check the markets, and he saw that they were starting to break. And of course, we were trading that market. We were actually short that market from 65. They ran them up to 67 on some rumors about an ECB rate cut. So we had to sweat it out a little bit. And then it started to really crack, led by the Euro Stoxx 50 to the downside. And when that went negative, the DAX and the FTSE and all the other markets in that part of the world followed suit. And when the U.S. opened this morning, it fell in line, of course, with its European counterparts. And that's what we're here to talk about, because I think we all know that we are in a 24-hour market, and what happens in Europe and Asia can affect what happens in the U.S. And so our goal tonight is to leave you with some information. My attitude is, and I'm sure you know this, if we can teach you just one thing, one bit of information that will help you in your trading or your investing, then it's time well spent for me and time well spent for you. So real quick, the Globex was originally created by Reuters. It was a CME and Reuters venture, and it was originally designed to accommodate currency traders, because even in those days the currencies traded, you know, around the clock. And they had floor traders on the floor, and in the early morning hours there wasn't a lot of activity, so I'm sure that the exchange was losing money with the volume that was generated during those hours. So they created an electronic system. Now, this electronic system, as we know it today, is the grandfather of all electronic trading. And as I said a few minutes ago, the only way you can enter orders in those days was to have a particular terminal that was dedicated just for Globex orders. And the Globex would start at 3:30, and all the times, guys and gals, that I'm going to refer to are central. And all the times that the Globex was open in those days was from 3:30 Central Time, and then it shut down at 8:15, and then at 8:30 in the morning it resumed trading. And in that time, in the early 90s, you could only trade the big S&Ps, the bonds, obviously all the currencies, and that was pretty much it. Now, literally, you can trade just about any financials future, any financial market you can possibly think of. And let me give you an example of how important that is in the transition of these markets. In the middle 90s, and I don't remember the exact years, I think some of you who've been around a while and following the markets, you will remember when everyone thought the Japanese were going to take over the world. The Nikkei index, that's at 14,000 today, was trading at 43, 44,000. The Japanese were buying Rockefeller Center and Pebble Beach and other very high-profile properties around the world. And everyone thought it was just an economic takeover by the Japanese. And of course, today we know what's happened. They have suffered a long period of deflation. And when that index was trading at 43, 44,000, which is really how I got involved with these markets. I started my career at Merrill, and then when I left and was at Prudential Securities, I was a portfolio manager there, managing several $100 million in portfolios. I was considered a conservative portfolio manager, and I was trying to find ways to hedge the portfolios that I had or to find opportunities overseas. So I started to study and research and follow some of these markets, and we discovered the Globex market and got involved with that and started to study and learn it. But what happened was, as I was trying to figure out a way I could short or buy puts on the Nikkei. And even though I was working for a one of the big Wall Street houses that had offices in that part of the world, I could have opened an account at that office, but it had to be with that office in Japan, and it had to be denominated, of course, in yen, and I couldn't get real-time quotes. It was hard to know where the markets were or what was going on. It was very difficult to get in and out. The spreads were ridiculous. You could lose a couple of points in no time, and it was just very cumbersome. So, I just didn't, as we say, pull the trigger or make the trade. And of course, now we know historically that market went from 43, 44,000 ultimately down to 7,000. And just recently, as it's worked its way back up into these 14,000, 15,000 range. So that's how I got involved with the Globex. And today, guys and gals, if you see an opportunity or you think there's an opportunity, all you have to do now is have a few $1,000s in one of the different trading platforms that accommodate this market, and there's a large number of them. Many of you have heard the names: Ninja, OpenECry, TradeStation, Thinkorswim, the list goes on. A few $1,000s in that account, and you can buy and sell just about any market at any time in the world, real time, and the fills are very good in our experience, and the experience is one that if you know what you're doing, there are a lot of opportunities, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Now, what we're going to cover, hopefully, before we're done, are the advantages of trading in the Globex. And I will tell you, we have two things that are unique to the trading world. We have what, as far as I know, and we try to check from time to time, we have the only live chat room that exists from 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. And we have, in that chat room is staffed by professional traders at all times. Sometimes there's 3 of us, but there's always one of us. We're always there to help the folks in our room navigate these markets we call live trades. And I will also tell you that our claim to fame in that chat room, in addition to being unique in that it's open during those hours, of course there are plenty of chat rooms that exist during the trading day. We have probably one of the most social and friendliest chat rooms I've ever been involved with. And we have the only real live rocket scientist. Now you will see if you ask questions, you will have some of your questions answered by Michael. Michael is retired from NASA. He was involved with the shuttle program, and when he retired, he decided to become a professional trader, joined our chat room, and eventually now is part of our team. So we have the only real live rocket scientist, and we like to say that a lot. It's not rocket science. In our room, we think that's cute. In the chat room universe. And he develops a lot of our technical and charts and programs that are also very unique to not only this time of night, but we have some indicators that are proprietary that can only help you in this time space. So again, the times that we're going to talk about are from 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning is when we're active. Sometimes we get in the markets before, the close. Actually, last night we shorted 65.50 right into the close last night, and I wish we'd have stayed with that trade, knowing what we know today. But some of the advantage of trading in this market, and these are huge advantages in our mind, it's a slower moving market, it's a better trending market, and one of my favorites, there are no computer buy and sell programs. Now, I'm not going to tell you that there aren't computers that enter orders in the major markets that we follow, like the Nikkei, the Hang Seng, the DAX, or the FTSE. But you don't have these high-frequency trading programs, and you don't have these computer buy and sell programs to the extent that we see them during the markets in the daytime. And the reason being is there's just not enough volume at night to accommodate these quant models and these models that run these high-frequency trading programs. And we think that's a huge advantage. The market just seems to be a lot less volatile. Not seems to, it is. And we've developed trade signals that work only at night. And because this market's a lot less volatile, we can use 2.5 point stops. Now, I think most of you know if you're trading during the daytime, especially the S&Ps, which have been all over the place. We went from in the 92 range the day of the employment numbers down to ultimately I think we hit 34. I'll be close on these numbers, not exact, because I'm trying to relive the last 2 or 3 days. And then from 34 back up to 68. From 68 today we traded down to 23. And that's just some incredible volatility, absolutely incredible. So we have trade signals that we've developed. We've spent years. I doubt you will meet or talk to anyone. There's very few of us that have been involved with this market as long as I have. And so you try to use a 2.5 point stop during the day, even if you have the direction and you have your mechanics and your discipline right on your trade, 2.5 points is nothing. And because this is a slower moving market, we have less volatility, and because we have less volatility, we can use tighter stops. Of course, that results in less risk. All right, now in addition to the ability to speculate or trade these markets, of course, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, and this is again is how I originally got involved with these markets, that there are an excellent hedging tool. And if you find that you've gone home and your portfolio is doing as you expected, you're happy with its performance, you're comfortable with the profile of your portfolio and the diversification, then you wake up in the morning like you did this morning only to find out that the markets overseas were selling off and taking the U.S. with it because there was a tsunami in Japan, there was a default in Europe, i.e. Greece, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, I will tell you that 90% of the time when there's a trigger that triggers our markets into a sell-off, especially one of these quick short sell-offs, it's usually something that occurred in this space at night, and that's where we are, and we're able to take advantage of it as we did this morning. We didn't have to wait till the U.S. market opened. And also, we trade only the E-mini, and it has plenty of liquidity and volatility to at least trade at night. Now, I say volatility or trading range at night. There are some nights, and this is the disadvantage of trading in this space, some nights it's like watching paint dry. I mean, you know, we'll have these narrow trading ranges, but for the most part, we'll have 1 to 5 point trading range during the Asian session, which we define as from 5 midnight till 12, or 5 o'clock in the evening, excuse me, till 12 midnight. And then from 12 midnight till 5 in the morning, we define that as the European session. But we usually have a 5 point trading range. And if there's news, sometimes that trading range will expand to 8 to 10 points. And then we have about 8 to 12 point trading range throughout the course of the evening. So it's an excellent way to hedge a portfolio. And as I said, I'm just going to put this slide up for a minute. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the mechanics of how you would hedge. But if you have an interest in this information, of course, you email us, and we'll give you our email address during the course of our discussion tonight. And we'll be happy to send you, you know, these slides along with other information that you may request. Okay, so I know many of you have heard this discussion or question or have asked yourself, what is the difference between an average trader and a successful one? And I think we all know that an effective plan is essential. And so after 24 years of doing this, we're going to talk about how we do it at Night Scalper and our trading method. All right, so real quick tonight, some of the areas that I'm going to try to cover are key market times, proprietary signals and indicators, Greekisms, which I'll explain to you what those are in just a minute, and money management. And I think most of you know this by now, but if you do not have an effective money management system, you're just not going to be consistent in your trading. And that's what we do in this room. We try to be consistent. All right, so key market times. Now, this is one of the big differences from trading during the daytime. You don't have to worry about what the Nikkei is doing or the Hang Seng during the day in U.S. trading. You do at this space that we trade in at night. And the U.S. is not in control during this course of the evening. Now, we, as I said earlier, we define the Asian session as that trades from 5 p.m. till 12 a.m. And the markets that control during that time frame are the Hang Seng and the Nikkei. Now, a lot of you may ask, what about the South Korean markets or Australia or some of the other markets? And yes, they are important economies, but we're only looking for those markets that move the S&Ps at night. And these are the two markets that we have found in all of our years of doing this that control these markets at night. And then once we get into Europe, the European markets from midnight till 5 in the morning is the time that we feel covers those markets. The controlling markets at that time are the DAX in Germany, of course Germany being the largest economy in Europe, obviously important, and the FTSE. And so the international markets play a key role at night. And that is why it's important that even if you're not going to trade in this market, it's important that you understand it. It's important that you have at least a basic knowledge of how it works, and that's what we do. We provide you with that information. You are in a 24-hour market, guys and gals. I think we all know that now. And if you're not at least familiar with what goes on in these markets, during the Globex session, as we like to say, or during these sessions that I just discussed, you're leaving 17 hours of valuable information about the marketplace in your ability to trade in the 24-hour market. Because the U.S. market's roughly 8 hours, then you've got the 17 hours that these markets make up that can give you a lot of information, and it provides you with the information you need to make you a better trader. Now, just let me give you one example real quick. How many times have you turned on your TV in the morning or looked at your various news sources to find out that the markets were down overseas, or that there's a concern about emerging markets, or that the markets are going to open down in the U.S. because of some negative numbers out of China, GDP numbers, PMI numbers? We had last night trade export numbers, because China is such a huge export economy. Many follow the export numbers out of China to get a handle on, just what the emerging markets and export markets are doing. When that number came out last night, the S&Ps dropped, I want to say, 4 S&P points in a matter of minutes. Guys and gals, a few years ago, you didn't care about PMI in China. You didn't care about anything in China. I mean, let's be frank. It's a communist country that walks and talks like a capitalistic system. But because it is the second largest economy today, and because it can affect global markets, you better know this information. It's important. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, Bill, I don't have time to become an international economist. I don't have time to learn all these international economic profiles and what makes China tick and what makes Germany tick. Well, you don't. We make this very simple. In fact, I will tell you this. If you want to learn how to trade futures, and I've been doing this as long as anyone you'll meet, so I think I'm qualified to say this. If you want to learn how to trade futures, guys and gals, this is the place to learn it, because you're not going to get chopped up in this market. I'm not going to sit here and tell you won't have losing nights, but you're not going to get chopped up like you do trying to trade this market as it's been during the day. So as I said earlier, our key trading times are from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. in the morning. The Globex trading hours are technically from 3:30 to 8:30 in the morning. Now, I know a lot of you think the trading day starts when the U.S. opens at 8:30. It doesn't. When you're trading futures, the trading day starts at 5 o'clock. So, for example, this evening at 5 o'clock is when the trading day in the U.S. started. So I'll say it again. If you're ignoring the Globex or night session, you're missing out on 17 hours of information and trading. If I leave you with anything tonight, that's probably one of the most important pieces of information I think I can tell you about. Okay, in addition now to trading in the 24-hour market, it's a different market. It's more of a contrarian market at night. For example, you see a market that downtrends during the day, as we did today. You normally will see a little opposite reaction in the markets in the Globex at night in the opposite direction. For example, tonight we put out a signal to buy 27.5, and the last time I looked, they were trading. I don't know, Michael. I don't know where they're, because I'm doing this webinar. They were trading 29.5. So you're getting a bounce at night. Now, I'm not saying it's going to run up all night, but at least early, you'll see an opposite trend in the Globex from what you saw during the U.S. during the day. So thank you, sir. So that's my point. It's a very different market, and we've developed proprietary signals that are tailored to trading this market. And these these signals only work in this market at night. For example, pivot times. Now, there are pivot times that people use during the day. And one of the primary indicators that we use is the DOM, or the depth of market. Now, all of you have a DOM on your platforms that you trade futures on if you're trading futures. You can't use the DOM during the day, but at night it's one of our primary indicators that we use and follow. The international markets, as I said earlier, you need to know where those markets are and what they're doing, because the S&Ps will move based on those markets. Now, all of the things that I'm about to mention, they're not something that happens 100% of the time. As we know, nothing happens 100% of the time in this business. But if you can find something that works 80, 75% of the time, you can make good money. And other markets that we follow that are correlated to the S&Ps, we follow the bonds. For example, here of late, when the yen's down, the S&Ps go up, and when the yen's up, the S&Ps go down. They have had this relationship now for some time because what's positive for the Nikkei is usually positive for the S&Ps. Okay, now a minute ago we talked about the Greekisms, and just let me give you a quick sort of a indication of what those are. The Greekisms are just broad and general signals, if you will, that I have developed over the years that can help you navigate these markets. There's some 15 of them, and you use these Greekisms along with the trade setups, and then that gives you a good opportunity of making money in this market. So here's an example, and this is the one I like to use the most. A lot of times you will see, especially in this market we've been in the last 18 to 24 months, you will see where, and this typically happens when we have the employment numbers that come out on a Friday. If that's a negative number, we have a huge negative reaction in the market to the downside. The S&P sell off, and they'll spend the rest of the day bringing the market back up and closing it towards the top tick of the last hour of trading. Now that's the operative sentence, and that's what I just said. If they close it near the top tick of the last hour of trading, when the Globex opens at 5 o'clock, there's usually a tremendous opportunity there to scalp a point or two. And a lot of times we can take them home on a Friday. When they open on Sunday, they'll usually open down if we had that short squeeze set up, and you can make some money right on that opening. So again, when you've had bad news during the day, then the afternoon they start to firm them up, and then you start to squeeze the shorts that got short on that bad news, and then there's an opportunity there to short right into that high, into the close, and pick up a point or two. This is kind of a chart. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, just so you can kind of, again, see what that looks like. Again, you can study these charts. They're available by emailing us, and that way you can get them and study them at your leisure. All right, now, again, this is not something that happens 100% of the time, but you'll notice it happens a lot lately. Happened last options expiration. The Monday following options expiration, the markets will usually open up early. That doesn't mean they're going to be up all day, but they will generally open up. Now, if you're trading Sunday night, the Globex starts trading now. The trading week starts at 5 o'clock Sunday night, not 8:30 Monday morning. You can take advantage of these markets on Sunday nights and not wait till 8:30 Monday morning. Why is this information valuable? Because if you're trading in the Globex Sunday night and you've been short most of the night, knowing that at some point after options expiration Friday, this market's going to probably open up, then you know that at some point this market's going to turn around and start heading towards an up opening. And again, here's another chart of what that's going to look like, but I'm not going to spend, again, too much time on the charts. It's the concept that I want to convey to you. All right, as I said, if you do not have an effective money management system, you're just not going to make money on a consistent basis, in my experience. All right, so what are some of the biggest mistakes that we see people making with their trading? And I think most of you know these, but I'm going to go through them anyway. All right, number one, I think we all know this, is overtrading, and we have a way to fix that one. Trying to hit home runs. How many of us have aware of this one or have done it? I myself, all of us. I don't know anyone who started trading that didn't try to hit home runs, and they learned quickly that the world doesn't work that way. So overtrading and trying to hit home runs are obviously two of the biggest mistakes we see. Now, these are less obvious, if you will. Not withdrawing profits on a regular basis or rewarding yourself for your work and your discipline. And trading either too many or not enough contracts. Now, here's how we do it at Night Scalper, the Night Scalper trading system, as we like to call it. And let me preface what I'm about to say this way. if you join our group and you're joining it for the adrenaline, you're joining it, to get a rush from trading, you probably don't want to be in our chat room. There are a lot of other chat rooms I think you'll find more rewarding if that's what you want to do. If you want to make money on a consistent basis, then we're probably the place for you to look and try. Many of the folks that join our room are looking for additional income. They're trying to make 1 or 2 points a day, night in our case, night session. And if they can do that, they can have a great month. And let me tell you how we approach that. We also request and suggest that you trade more than one contract. So if you're trading one S&P during the day, you can trade 2 at night because it's a less volatile market, as we said earlier. So the way we approach it, and I'll just give you an example of what we did last night. Last night, right after Europe opened, we sold 65. They ran up to 67 in a hurry because we didn't know about the ECB rumor that was running around. The DAX took off, and we had to sweat out 2 points. Then when that market finally reversed after the news got out of the market, they went down to 63.5. And so if you sold 2 contracts at 65, you took one off at 63.5, you now have a 1.5 to the good to sort of play with, if you will. So you bring your stops down to 65.75, you're short from 65. That means that no matter what happens on this trade, you're going to make money. You cannot lose money at that point because you've already taken a 1.5. You have a 3/4 point stop on the trade at this point. You can't lose money. We took the other ones down at 62.5. Now, just do the math. It's real simple. We encourage you, we ask you, when you first join our group, set a goal. Set a realistic goal. A goal of how much you want to make on an average month. And then you can back into, 1, how many points you want to make a night, how many contracts you want to trade, and how much risk you should take. It all comes down to that. So let's take $2,000 a month as a goal because that's what most of the folks in our room are trying to do. Assume you have 20 trading days out of every month, most months. All you have to do is average $100 a night. So if you're trading 2 contracts, all you need to do is make 1 point. So you see, it's not extremely difficult. It's a realistic goal to set. It's a realistic goal to obtain. And if you can do that, you're going to average $100 a day. Now, some nights you're going to lose money. You know it, and I know it. That's why we say average $100 a day. Some nights you might make 200. Some nights you might lose 100. But average $100 a day times 20 trading days, you can make a couple of $1,000s a month, and that's what we try to do in this room. So by developing this night scalper method, you control your amount of trading, you control the number of contracts you trade, you control just about everything that we just talked about that creates a lot of risk. So we encourage you to treat the Night Scalper trading program as a job, not as a place to trade and get the adrenaline rush or whatever trading does for you. This is a place where we try to be consistent and we try to help our subscribers in our chat room earn money on a consistent basis with the least amount of risk possible. Now, we just talked about this. This is probably the hardest thing that most of us traders have to deal with, I included. In fact, I probably violate this rule as much as anyone. It's overtrading. I can't tell you how many times I have reached my goal at night only to give it back in this market during the day that has become so difficult to learn and understand. I mean, it is just I've been trading day and night most of my career. And when I say most of my career, since, the middle 80s, I joined Merrill Lynch as the bio you saw in 1977. So I feel like I'm an experienced trader. And this is one of the toughest markets I've ever seen to trade during the day. And it's just there's just so many factors. There's financial engineering and central bankers and Fed comments, and you know not to mention that the markets are just totally ignoring fundamentals. And I hope, and I really do, and I still think we're in a bull trend market or an upward trending market, that we'll wring a lot of these excesses out with this correction that we're in, and hopefully we can get back to a market that's more realistic. So what we encourage you to do is to take a check from your account every month, reward yourself for your efforts, reward yourself for being disciplined, because that's just a constant reminder of why you're doing what you do and why you do it on a consistent basis. It's kind of like Pavlov's dog, you get a response, and for the response you get a reward. Okay, so let's see, we have 25 minutes. Adam, is that correct? So if we have 25 minutes left, I am going to ask Michael to come on, our resident rocket scientist, and he real quick is going to go through some of the technical indicators we use in the chat room so you can get a flavor for how that works. And then when he's done, I'll come back and answer your questions. Michael?
Can you guys hear me? Can anybody hear me? Yes? Good. Okay, great. Distorted, you say, huh? Too loud or not loud enough? All right, let me turn it down a little bit. Is that any better? Okay. All right. Someone asked about these technical indicators and what was it, Metastock? No, we really don't market these indicators yet. We're working on that with NinjaTrader, but we haven't really gotten to that point yet. And a lot of these indicators aren't your traditional indicators like you would put on a chart. Some of them are just ways of interpreting the multiple markets that we monitor and what to look for and what kind of movements to indicate what kind of things to expect in the night market. That's all from Bill's experience. But I'm gonna describe to you guys here what we have for some of the things that we're projecting. As Bill mentioned, you need real-time, live foreign market data from the Nikkei, the HSI, the DAX, the Z, the FTSE. We project that in our trade rooms, so though that's an expense that you don't have to go through, that can sometimes be, up to $50 a month or more to get those kind of indicators. We project it in the trade room, so if you're a member, that's one of the benefits. Bill uses the DOM. We actually have an indicator that does his recommended technique of mathematics on the DOM and shows it to you actual in real time. We have something called IB levels, which are initial balance levels. They're sort of a volume profile kind of spin-off, but we've worked it out to where they work for all the different foreign markets as well. We have trigger lines. We have some what we call BLOD lines, which is the blue line of death for many moves. It's a counter trend sort of stopping move. We show some Bollinger Bands. We have a volume MACD histogram. We're recently adding a CCI, which gives you a good idea of the volume momentum. And we also project a time and sale window so that you can see the contracts moving. Excuse me. So this is a visual of our trade room. I don't think you can see my cursor. Let me see if I can make the little magic dot work. Okay, you can see my dot now. So over here we have the foreign market data. We're working on a way to get that to display in Ninja. A newer snapshot has this in bigger type for those of us older folks with the hard to see eyeballs, including myself. This is that volume MACD. In here are the blue lines of death. Some of the other lines, this chart doesn't, well, it has, there's one line up here that's one of the leftovers from the IB lines from the previous market, but this must have been before, or it was either in the day market when I took this snapshot or before the night market really had Asian open. Dome-o-matic, we were discussing that a little bit. Bill likes to use 5 levels on the dome. He adds them up. Depending on which side has more, that sort of pulls the price movement in that direction. This indicator shows you those and summarizes them with an arrow, and also divides the larger one by the smaller one and gives you a sort of a strength ratio. Let's see what I got next. So this is the IB lines. Basically, they're reset for the Asian market, they're reset for the European market, and they're reset for the US market. Basically, what we do is measure the first hour of the cash open, the high and the low. We use that value to then project some upper level limits and lower level limits. And this sort of gives a better picture of the IB high, the IB pivot, the IB low, and then the 3 lower extensions and the 3 upper extensions. As I described, the initial balance is the first hour from cash open. We use the delta. Typically, those extensions are 50, 100, and 150%. And it's amazing how often the market hits these levels and reverses many times. These make great pivot points. And the other thing to say about these IBs are, they're not yesterday's enthusiasm projected on today's market. They're actually today's market enthusiasm projected on today's market. And tonight's Asian market projected on tonight's Asian market. And tonight's European market projected on tonight's European market. So they're not some pivots that are a function of yesterday's open, close, and high in the U.S. cash market that you're trying to fit onto tonight's Asian market or tomorrow's European market. That's the beauty of those levels. This trade by color line works pretty well. I mean, if you had set it on a high enough tick chart on this particular day and bought it when it turned green and sold it when it turned red and bought it again when it turned green, there was some 24 VS points to be made there. That's just one of the other indicators that we project. Trade by color, that's basically the combination of a fast moving signal line with a slower moving linear regression baseline. The baseline is yellow. I'll go back to that chart. Baseline is yellow. When the signal line crosses above the yellow, it becomes green. When it crosses below the yellow, it becomes red. It's pretty simple. It's not rocket science, as I'm allowed to say. All of our charts are colored and also textured with dashes, that's easy for me to say, dots and with dashes and dots in order for colorblind people to be able to also see those. We had a few members that were colorblind and complained that they couldn't differentiate the colors, so we gave the lines texture visually. And this is back to Bill. He'll summarize. But you know, if you have any questions about our what we project or anything, or performance data questions or anything like that, I'm going to give you the link. Send me an email at support@nightscalper.com and I'll get back to you pretty quick. And now back to Bill, and I will turn off my mic.
All right, Michael, thank you. Okay, now I know some of you, after you're sitting and watching this presentation, because we have this. It's probably one of the negatives of doing what we do. You're thinking, okay, I can't stay up all night, and I have a job, I have a family, I have kids to take care of, and we do have a lot of, in fact, some of our best traders in the room are ladies. But, that is not the situation. What I promise you is it's a 17-hour space that we're in, and you will develop the time and flexibility that fits your lifestyle. And, you may decide to trade early. I will say that probably 70% of the people in our room trade between the hours of 5 and midnight. And then there's probably a handful, that trade after midnight. Probably 30% of the room stays up and trades with us till the wee hours of the morning. And then we have quite a few Australians and Europeans and a few folks from Asia that are part of our room. And of course, that's their daytime, so they're up, and that's when that time is best for them, is when most of the folks in the U.S. are sleeping. They're trading our markets with us in the trade room. So here's how we do it. This is the summary, and then I'm going to take a few minutes to answer questions. We have 15 minutes, so I don't think we have to rush. As I said earlier, we call live trades nightly in the room. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights. Of course, the markets are closed Friday and Saturday nights. We don't call trades on Sunday nights because I have found that that's one of the more unpredictable nights of the week for a couple of reasons. It's light volume, which makes it more unpredictable. And secondly, you just don't have the continuity of the market closing at, 3:15 and opening at 5 o'clock. So a lot can change during that weekend time, as many of you can imagine. We have the trades are tracked by a former rocket scientist. And as Michael likes to say, numbers are numbers, and numbers don't lie. And he'll fight me for a quarter of a point. He's kind of like the room umpire, if you will. He'll say when a trade is official and when it's not official, because the way we do it in our room is if 10% of the people in the room take the trade, then it's an official trade. So we think that's a pretty good system. Now, before you ask me what the returns are, I'm just going to put up one of our charts that we have where we track our trades, but there are a series of charts when we make, I should say, profitable trades are during the European session or during the Asian session. Are most of our profitable trades early or late? What's the percentage of profitable trades versus losing trades? Longs versus shorts, drawdowns. He has every chart you can possibly think of because he just loves statistics and he creates these charts, and I'm not even sure how to read most of them. But this is just an idea of what our returns look like and what we try to average. And he's happy to send you these charts and numbers so you can review them again if you just email us. I think last month we lost, help me Michael, $200 last month, 300, I can't remember, but it was the first losing month we've had since last November, to kind of give you an idea of how we try to control our losses. What does it say? 245, okay. So, we try to, even when we have a losing month, we try to control those losses so they're not bad. All right, so I will say this again. If you want to learn how to trade futures, this is the place to try to learn to do that because it's a simpler and easier market to learn. It's not complicated. We keep it simple. My mind is a simple mind, so that's why I keep it simple. Mike tries to come along and make it complicated with his mind, but between the two of us, we come to some understanding. We can help you understand this market independent of your experience level. I'll say this again if I leave you with anything tonight. Every trader should understand this market, whether you trade it or not, because it gives you a lot of information and will make you a better trader. Even if you're not a trader, it'll make you a better investor and give you a tremendous amount of understanding as to the insight of how the markets work. So this is what I'm going to leave you with, and then I'm going to answer questions. Night Scalper Special. This is for 30 days. You'll get the Night Scalper, you'll get 30 days access to the trading room. And as I said, the general hours are from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. Some nights we're done by 3 a.m. in the morning. Some nights we're done by maybe 2:30. Some nights we're up till 4:30 or 5. Those are the general hours. And even when we're not calling trades in the room, we leave it open for our members so that they can communicate with each other and trade with each other if they choose to do so. You're going to get the Night Scalper 101 course. First Tuesday of every month, we have in-depth training classes. And when I say in-depth, I mean, we give out a lot of information. We usually go 2.5 hours first Tuesday of every month. That's included. You'll get trade alerts whenever we call a trade or something changes in the market. You can get them on your smartphone or your computer so you know what's going on. We provide you with these low-risk, high-reward trade setups. You'll get the market time, indicators, and trades that I spent years developing, and all the useful tools and trade signals and indications. For that 30 days, it's $47, and then after that, it's $147 a month. We don't try to lure you in the room and try to sell you something later so that if you want all the indicators, you pay more money. It's $147 a month. That's all the education you can eat as often as you want it. And I promise you this, my experience has been if you want to be in this trading universe, and I think all of you know this, if you can learn just one thing that'll make you a better trader, it's worth your time. And it's just, $47. I promise you, you're going to learn something in this room that's going to make you a better trader. All right, so I was just told by Adam we have a few minutes. We're okay, we're on time. So I will take all of your questions now. And let's see. And if you asked a question earlier when I was talking, if you'll re-ask it again so I don't have to scroll back and try to find it. Corey, do you need to use NinjaTrader? No. Whatever, you can use any platform that, one, you feel like you're getting good executions and you're getting good commissions. We find that, commissions are in the $5.50 range. Anything like that is a good, reasonable commission. One that's giving you good fills, and it has to have a dome. As long as you have a platform with a dome, we don't really care what platform you use. Michael, while I'm talking, can you put the graph up again with the returns for SG, please, sir? Kenneth, ETH. I'm not sure what the ETH is. You'll tell me what the ETH is, I'll tell you what the difference is. The Globex is the market that trades literally overnight while the rest of the world is sleeping, or at least in the U.S. they're sleeping. Electronic trading hours. Okay, thank you. Electronic trading hours are 24 hours now, but the Globex was the original electronic trading, and that's why people sometimes still refer to it as electronic trading, like on the bonds, versus open pit. But before long, it's all going to be electronic trading. There's not going to be any open pit trading. So the Globex is the original electronic trading after hours platform. I hope that answers your question. Extended trading hours. Extended trading hours are the, I understand now, the one you're asking about. It's that equity market that continues to trade where you can buy and sell equities. It's a thinner market than during, obviously, the U.S. trading session. And that's equities. The market, the Globex we're talking about, is the electronic market where you can trade literally any financial futures you can possibly think of. The dome, Jennifer, is the depth of market, and it's usually on most of the platforms, and it has the volume indicators on it. Corey, we trade 2 contracts. Okay, any other questions? Cost of 2 contracts. if you're talking about commissions, most of the platforms we're familiar with, it's $5 a round turn. If you're asking about how much you need in your account to trade 2 contracts, it's usually for most platforms $500 per contract. But you should have a couple, $3,000-$4,000 in your account to have a little room, but you only need $500 per contract. We only trade TA. We only trade the mini S&P, and it's a real simple explanation for that. My experience is you learn one market and you learn it well. And there are a lot of markets that we follow at night to get direction on the S&Ps, but we only trade the mini S&Ps at night. Sam, that is probably a key time for us. So if you like trading from 10 till 3 a.m., that is a good time to be in our room. Joe, is the stochastic a volume indicator? Michael, I'm going to let you answer Joe's question. I'm going to go to the next one. The next webinar, I think we're it. Based on what I understand, we're the last one tonight. We only trade the E-mini, as I said a few minutes ago. What is TA? I'm not sure what TA is. Michael, you know what that one is? What the question is? Mike Sox, do you have statistics on the time of day of your trades? I believe he does. And if you email us, he'll send you what we have. Yeah, JB, it's all going to depend. It's all going to depend on your platform. I can tell you if you're trading one contract, it's $500 per contract with most of them that I am familiar with. And when your equity drops below 1%, I mean $500, they shut you down. Now, if your platform's 1,000, then that's their personal, rule that they set. JB, you and I must have met. Okay. Any other questions for Michael or myself? We have some time. Corey, no. My system does not work with other markets. In fact, I've tried to do that, and I find that it doesn't work with other markets. For example, the DOM at night just does not work as well in other markets as well as it does the mini S&P. Okay, JB, I'm going to figure that one out when I have a minute to think about it. If my bride was with us, that will narrow it down quickly. Okay. Well, EB, tonight, if you would have bought 27.5, you would have been out in probably 10 or 15 minutes. Some nights we're in them for 3 or 4 hours before the trade develops. And so it just depends on the marketplace. It's hard to say what the average time we're in a trade. When the market's real slow, and we sell them at a certain price, we might have to wait hours before we realize a trade or get stopped out. One of the two are going to happen, obviously. no, B Tiller, these markets are not as thin as they used to be. There was a time that would have been true, but there's a lot of volume in these markets at night, and they're continuing to grow more and more. Aha, I know who Joe B is. Grand Hotel, Joe B. If you use Ninja, Tom, the data feeds that we provide, there are no charge for. That's part of our room. We're $147 a month, period. We don't have extra charges for anything, and that's all you'll ever pay. You know, we're not going to come back to you and say, okay, if you want the premium indicator, you pay us more money. It's all we can teach you, and all you can learn, and all you can trade is $147 a month. But the $47 gives you 30 days to see if this thing works like we say it is. Same here, JB. It's been a long time since you've been to Mobile. You need to visit. Chris, I will tell you, some nights the market is slow, but there's generally plenty of liquidity in this market at night. As I said a few years ago, I couldn't make that statement. All right, any other questions? Kirk, that profit target is anywhere from 3/4 to a point or two on a trade. As I said before, if we put on 2 contracts, we'll target 2 points for the first one to come off. That way we can bring our stops down, and then the target on the second one could be just about anything. Last night, you know, I mentioned earlier, we sold 65. We took half off at 63.5. When I say half, because some people trade more than 2 contracts. And then we took the other half off at 62. And I mean, it was just a matter of minutes after we took the 62 that this thing started to break, and break big. And I was just disgusted. We left a whole lot of money on the table last night. Fred, no, that would not be feasible because we generally are not real active between 4:30 and 6 unless we're cleaning up a trade we're already in. 40/60, Bill, is how these contracts are taxed. So you get a different taxable bracket. But if you're a professional trader, you can take, and this is something that a lot of folks don't know about, you can take a dollar for dollar loss on your taxes. So in other words, if you lose 10 grand, you take 10 grand off of your taxes once you're established as a professional trader, and there's an IRS code, which I can't remember what it is, that you designate. Celso, the $47 includes indicators. It includes all the education we can give you. It includes the access to the trade room. It includes the 101 course to the trading in the Globex. So it's we try to give you as much information as we can. We don't withhold it and try to sell you something down the road. My goal is to teach you everything I know. It's just a matter of how much time it will take. You don't need to get Ninja TA, no. As long as you have a platform, you know, you can trade with us. All right, any other questions for Michael or myself? We have a program for that, Kirk, but you have to understand that our room, you control the mouse. We call the trades, whether you put the trade in or not is up to you. We have an auto trade program, which is something separate. Is this your first night on Monday? I'm not sure I understand that one, TA. If you elaborate, I'll try to answer it. Keith, I've tried to trade currencies, and I haven't been successful either, so I'm with you on that one. Are there multiple brokers for this market? Joe, there absolutely is. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of them. The margin at night, Chris, in our experience, is average $500 per mini contract. That's during the day or at night. So if let's say you get into an E-mini contract from 8:30 to 3:15, you're only required to have $500 per that contract in your account. But most platforms, once you drop below 500, they'll shut you down. So you need to have a little bit more than in the account than $500, but the requirement is 500. I do believe, I'm not familiar, I haven't used a Thinkorswim, but I do believe they have a dome. And Kenneth says, yes, they do. Like I said, it's $47 to see if you can, if it does what we say, to see if it fits your lifestyle, to see if it works for you. But I promise you, even if you're in there for 30 days and it doesn't work, you're going to learn one thing that's going to make you a better trader or a better investor. Keith, the majority of folks that have never traded futures do just that. They sim trade or demo trade. They get their level of confidence up before they start trading live. So absolutely, in fact, we recommend it. Ideal times for Pacific Zone. We have quite a few people out in your part of the world, and they're in the room at 3 o'clock your time, and they can stay up later because they're 2 hours behind us. No, Corey, $4,800 is if you take a trade home overnight. So let's say that you were short the E-mini during the day. You still had the E-mini at 4:15 when the Globex after the Globex reopens. You're going to have a margin called 4,800. Day trading margin's $500 per contract. Overnight's 4,800. A McDougal, if you're interested in the offer, check back with us. Check with Michael, and he'll see what he can do for you at that time. Depends on what kind of mood you catch him in, I guess. Okay, well, he's saying if you email him at and tell him you want a delayed trial, he'll make a note of it for you. Are you asking me, Ron, if we're part of, is that DTI? Is that what you're asking? We used to be affiliated with DTI for many, many years, and we went out on our own almost a year ago. Training sessions are recorded, and you can get those recordings by emailing us. Corey, if you're out of the market by 4:15, you'll avoid a $4,800 margin call. That is correct. Like I said, I have been doing this longer than just about anyone else you're going to meet. There's not a whole lot of us around. Been doing as long as I have. Harold, we just started the auto trade, and we only have about 2 months under our belt. So I'll tell you, we just don't have enough time in that. We had a program that was trading under what they call an LOD, but that was a different program. The way we're doing it now is extremely, not extremely, is very different from what we've done. So the returns are going to be different. TA, I hope the 101 course will help you with more than just how to trade on a Monday evening. I hope it'll make you a better trader around the clock. James, the reason I use that picture is because I have more hair in that picture. Chris, I really don't remember how long or Ron, how long the 101 course is. Chris, the new trading day starts after 4:15. It starts at 5 o'clock. They shut down 4:15, and most of the platforms, are reloading their servers and setting up, the statements and what have you, and then they send them out. Yeah, I should have known. Seabiscuit. Okay. If you can take a picture of me, JB, that'll put more hair on my head, I'm all for you. Ron, all of the times we have used tonight are the Central Time Zone because that's the one we're in. But I have a clock on my wall that, tells me what time it is in Australia and Europe and London and so forth and so on. So I'll know where all the folks in our room, what time it is. All right, questions going once? We want to thank Morgan. We want to thank Adam and Yana for working with us in the Trading Pub. I've known Morgan since he was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old maybe. So it's been a real pleasure to see him grow up, join the business. Questions going twice? Right, Richard, I do not trade currency futures. As I said earlier, I trade one market because I'm a big believer if you learn one market, learn it well. JP, is there a good time to make money in this overnight market? I mean, it just depends on the market. Last night we made most of our money at 2 a.m. in the morning. We made a little money before 12 o'clock, but we made our best trade was after 2 o'clock. TA is $47 for 30 days. You just cancel at the end of 30 days and you're done. I will say this again, guys and gals. If you want to learn anything about trading, you need to have an understanding of this market, and that's what we do. That's our specialty. We don't try to teach anything else. TA, we thank you for giving us your time. All right, folks. We again thank you for your time this evening. I hope we said one thing that will help you. Can positions entered into the night session be held? Oh, absolutely. I do it a lot. And a lot of times I'll give back some of it during the day. All right, again, thank you everyone for being with us. We hope you have a wonderful evening. Good luck with your trading or investing. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Don't forget, guys and gals, this market is going to focus on those financials in the morning. That's going to be from here on throughout the rest of the night and into the morning when JP and Wells Fargo release their earnings. And, you know, as we tell the folks in our room, you can't have a good market without the financials and the techs. Those are important aspects of the markets. So those financials are going to set the tone for in the morning and maybe for the rest of the day. Sam, we thank you. All right, JB, tell your lovely bride we said hello as well. Edwin, thank you, and good night, everyone.